So I've just combed all the hair in a downwards direction so it's nice and neat and not knotty. So what we're going to do, as you can see, this section probably doesn't require being done in multiple sections because it's not a very thick section of hair, so we can do all of that in just one snip. At the back, however, where there's a lot more density of hair, it's a bit too much of a challenge for the scissors to chop through all of that length in one go. So we're going to do it in sections. So that's our first section. And that's a much more manageable amount of hair to cut. Okay. Just going to try and comb the hair down. It's good if the hair stays wet because then it holds its shape much more better than if it's dry. So I'm just going to comb this hair right down against the neck like this. I'm going to hold it steady with my comb and trim. I don't want to be pulling the hair down too much because if I'm pulling a lot of tension on this wet hair and then I cut it, it might actually then spring up and be shorter than the side. So I'm only using my comb just to hold the hair still and stop it from getting moved around by the scissors. So yeah, it's worth noting that wet hair does dry a bit shorter, and also curly hair dries significantly shorter. One of the other things that I often find is that this hair is quite short as it grows out from the head, whereas hair from here growing all the way down to here is a lot longer. So I tend to find if there's any natural wave in the hair at all, sometimes these lengths, even though when you cut them, they can all come down to the same length, when they dry, these lengths stay a bit as they are, and the top higher up lengths tend to shrink a bit more. So you can end up with an accidental layering effect. So to avoid that, what I usually do is cut my next sections just a tiny bit longer than the guideline underneath, so that when they dry, they all more or less dry to the same level rather than these lengths drying shorter and these lengths sitting out from underneath. So I can see I've left enough, I've got a thin enough section that I can still see my hair underneath, so I can see what my guideline is. And I'm just going to leave an extra couple of millimeters hanging over to allow for that drying up, springing up from when it dries. Okay, so now I'm just going to blast the hair. I'm going to try and dry it more or less in the direction in which we want it to sit, otherwise it might be like... Oops. MJ's hair is dried, and now we can just check that the line has still dried like neatly, because sometimes when the hair dries naturally or with a hairdryer it can change its state, so we just need to double check. So I may have just left a tiny bit too much hanging over the guideline. So now I can just neaten that up a fraction. So there we go. Hopefully that was a useful video to help anybody who might just need a tiny trim top up in their households. And if you need any help with anything or you want any advice, please don't hesitate to contact us. I'm Greygory, we are Open Barbers, and the email address is openbarbers@gmail.com. Okay, and finally we take off the gown of the client so that they can show off their amazing t-shirt that they wear when they just get randomly getting their hair cut. Your really awesome Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, my awesome Harry Potter one. It's true. Thank you, Greg. I love
You're welcome. Oh, and James, how's your pictures coming on? You got more pictures to show the camera? James has been diligently working away, colouring in unicorns as we've been going. Well done. Bye.